Elasticity of Demand, Chapter 4, Section 3. And this is also podcast 2.2. Today, in this podcast, we're going to talk about how consumers do not respond at the same rate to changes in price. We talked about the Oreo example. Some people may be willing to pay $6 for Oreos, but other people may have stopped buying them when they were $3 for a box. So the elasticity of demand measures how quickly a consumer will react to a change in price. Exactly how fast do they stop buying, or how fast do they start buying when the price changes? There are three types of elastic demand. The first type is unitary elastic demand. This is whenever the change in demand is equal to the change in price. There is elastic demand. This is whenever demand is sensitive to price changes. And then there's inelastic demand. And this is whenever demand is not sensitive to price changes. Now, what we mean by that is if demand is not sensitive to price change, that means when the price goes up or down, demand doesn't really change very much. If it is sensitive, then that means as the price goes up or down, demand is going to change as a result of that. There are factors affecting elasticity. One of those is the availability of substitutes. If there are not a lot of substitutes for a good, then it's going to be inelastic. The demand is going to be inelastic because they don't have any other options as far as buying another product. For example, if the price of milk is $5 a gallon at every grocery store, you don't really have any other choice. So it doesn't matter how high they raise that price, you're still going to be paying the same price, and you're still going to be buying as much milk as you did. So your demand is inelastic. If there are a lot of substitutes, like for a coffee shop, just like in this picture, then you're going to have elastic demand for that because you're going to go somewhere else and get coffee for a cheaper price. Other factors that affect elasticity: the importance of the item. If you really want that item and it's very important to you, you may be willing to pay a higher price for it. If it's not very important to you, then you're probably going to respond pretty quick to a price increase. Necessities versus luxuries. Necessities typically have inelastic demand. Luxuries typically have elastic demand. And then demand can change over time. Sometimes it becomes more elastic because people eventually find substitutes. Think about gasoline. Right now, there aren't a lot of substitutes for gasoline. You pretty much have to drive your car and put gas in it. But in time, we hope that we have substitutes for that. So we hope that the demand for gasoline would become more elastic and that consumers would be able to say, hey, the price of this gallon of gas is too expensive, so I'm going to change my demand and I'm going to purchase something else. This is a chart with some examples on it, and I'm just going to leave this up here for a couple minutes. I think it would be a good idea for you to look at some of these examples and think to yourself, how many substitutes are there really for this item? Is it a necessity or a luxury? And is it elastic or inelastic then? Obviously the more substitutes it has, the more of a luxury it has, the more elastic it's going to be. Let's look at a band uniform for a band member. There are no substitutes for it. You have to get the exact uniform everyone else has. It's a necessity if you're going to be in band. So the demand for it is going to be inelastic. No matter how expensive that band uniform is, you're probably going to have to buy it anyways. Hopefully you've looked through a couple of these and you're kind of thinking about what the demand, if it would be elastic or inelastic for that product. Revenue can be changed by elasticity. And it's important to people who own businesses to know how elastic the demand is for their products. So the elasticity of demand determines how a change in price will affect a firm's total revenue or income. A firm needs to know, hey, if I'm selling milk and I raise this price, people are probably still going to buy it, so I'm going to make a lot of money. But if you're selling designer blue jeans, or you're selling sweatshirts at Walmart, and you raise the price, you need to understand as a business owner that, hey, people are probably not going to continue to buy this product, and I may lose money. A couple of questions for you to just look at here. Why, and these are questions about the chart on the slide, why will revenue fall if a firm raises the price of a good whose demand is elastic? Revenue is going to fall if the demand is elastic because people aren't going to buy it when the price goes up. That's the whole reason it's elastic. Okay, what happens to total revenue when price decreases but demand is inelastic? Well, you're lowering the price on an inelastic item. Inelastic means people are going to buy it no matter what the price is. So if you lower the price on something that people would have bought at a higher price, you're losing money. Total revenue fails or falls because of that. Okay? We will review this a little bit in class, but hopefully it kind of makes sense. If not, replay this part and maybe it will come to you. Okay, there are some formulas for calculating elasticity. I want you to write these down in your notes. We will be using these in class to do some sample problems. So the formulas that you're going to need to figure out how elastic demand is, the first one is percent change. And the formula for percent change is the original number minus the new number divided by the original number times 100. So you're going to simplify this down. You'll subtract the original minus the new. You will divide that answer by the original number, and then you will multiply that answer times 100 to get a percentage. This formula is going to tell you what percentage did the demand for the item change. Did it go up by 25%? Did it go down by 25%? Okay? Then to figure out elasticity, you're going to need the formula percent change in quantity demanded divided by percent change in price. Demand always goes over price, so it's important that you write that correctly. Elasticity equals percent change in quantity demanded divided by percent change in price. Okay? Also want you to write down these steps for calculating elasticity. The first step is find the percent change in quantity demanded using the percent change formula. The second step, find the percent change in price using the percent change formula. Third step, plug your answers into the elasticity equation. Your answers, based on your answer, you will know if it's elastic or not. If your answer is greater than 1, then your demand is elastic. If your demand is less than 1, then your demand is inelastic. And if your elasticity is equal to 1, then it's unitary elastic. We're going to do some sample problems with these steps and the formulas in class, but for now, here's our final thought. Consumers do not respond to price changes at the same rate. For example, some people may be willing to pay $6 for a package of Oreos. Others may have decreased their demand at $3. Elasticity of demand tells us how quickly consumers respond to these price changes. Okay? So we will, like I said, continue working on this in class, but hopefully you at least have the basics of elasticity and understand what it is and why we use it. Until next time.